Welcome to a live edition of the Mexican Soccer Show today on a Monday, a very historic day, especially over the weekend, with the news about one of our own, Chicharito Hernandez, going and joining Los Blancos, the Merengue, Real Madrid. Big news. And today we'll have a great show talking about the reactions, about what will be happening, how we'll be watching, and everything that will be going on in La Liga, also with other Mexicans abroad. I would like to welcome all of you that are joining us live through this Google Hangouts, through YouTube, to go ahead and talk to us. Take that time to ask us any questions during the comment during this live show. First, I want to definitely welcome our experts today. We have Tom Marshall, who's in Mexico right now, in Guadalajara, all the way talking about all different sorts of topics on Twitter, on the internet. But how you doing, Tom? Tell me the reaction when you first heard that it was going to be even happening, that confirmed about Chicharito.
Excited. I mean, we're sure we're going to get into it in more detail, but, this is Real Madrid. I mean, it's just one of the elite world teams. And, earlier in the week it was Benfica or it was Valencia, and no disrespect to either of those clubs. But, Real Madrid, it's got a completely different ring to it. And at the end of the day, it's great for the Mexican game, this. I mean, another Mexican playing in a massive club, and it's got to be good for the game, Mexicans in Europe, but also good for the league here, and just the excitement in surrounding Mexican football in general.
Exactly, perfect. I'm sure everyone was definitely surprised and excited. We've heard it before, something about Real Madrid, and we just kind of put it in the back burner. It's not going to happen. Cesar, obviously, which is Santa Clara, where Mexico will be playing this week, and he's there. He's excited about coming. Also, tell us a little bit about Chicharito in the news over the weekend. What was your reaction?
I mean, just relief. I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but he's just been linked to so many teams for so long, and it's just such nice relief to finally know that he's. I mean, I didn't care, honestly. I didn't care what team he was getting set up with. Obviously, Real Madrid. That's nice. That's great. Jerseys look beautiful, but I'm just glad. I think I'm a Barcelona supporter.
Yeah, I'm a big Barca fan,
but those Madrid jerseys are pretty cool looking. But man, dude, I just relief. I'm just happy he's finally with the team, and it's just funny going back to what Tom was saying. Linking up Chicharito to various teams. It was interesting to note that I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago we were talking about potentially him going with Southampton. We were saying oh yeah, no. Southampton will be good, they'll be fine, but obviously there's a huge difference between Southampton and Real Madrid. So it's really exciting. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah. So what do you think about it?
Well, I was actually coming back from a trip. I usually go on the Labor Day. I take a vacation out. We go camping with a bunch of friends. So I had absolutely no coverage, nothing. I could even think about football and keeping up. There was no internet anywhere. I mean, this is full-on camping in the woods, and I'm driving back. As soon as I get my first bar, I'm just checking to see, obviously, what's going on with either family or if anything's happening, and I get a text, which I just brush it off. And then all of a sudden, I get something else. I start going into, obviously, FoodMex source, and I start looking at Tom and Cesar, and there it is, official. And I was already a day later. I think I got some Twitter followers that were like, dude, it's been happening already for a day. So for me, it was a surprise. It was something that I was definitely not expected. I don't think anyone even said, was going to think about it. Last I heard on Friday, it was going to be the Italian league, and all of a sudden, Real Madrid happens. I have to note that as soon as I'm going into getting updated in my Twitter feed, I asked, wow, I can't believe this happened. Did anything else happen? And Cesar, thank you for giving me a big, scare when I'm driving in the middle of the freeway. That I read that Alan Pulido is going to Bayern Munich. And then obviously I was still looking for information, and Twitter could be your friend, and I found nothing. Then go ahead. Thank you, Cesar, for telling me that's not true.
Check your Twitter right now. Actually, he's going to Bayern Munich. Check it out.
You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and not believe you ever again. But it was big news. I mean, looking at what Chicharito has done from coming into Chivas and obviously replacing Omar Arellano, Vergara, what he wanted to do with him, taking that. He didn't make it to the Olympics, and then obviously scoring and giving us a great season as fans in Mexico, and Chivas being the leading scorer. Then moving up to Manchester United right before the World Cup and having one of the most amazing years as a Mexican player, especially in a rookie season, starting from the bench and obviously ending up in one of the biggest games, about probably the biggest games in history for Manchester United against one of the best clubs like Barcelona that we can say ever, and starting for that club and obviously not failing. And then obviously what happened in the following years, and then another surprise. What bigger club can I say in Manchester United to going across the in Europe? Definitely Real Madrid. I'm not a big Real Madrid fan, but I just definitely respect the club. And that's Chicharito for you. It surprises you, but sometimes it just doesn't. Is it the amount of luck? And I really have to believe that it has to be with the work, the ethic that this guy has on and off the field, the discipline that he is, what he gives it all. And it is a surprise, but at the same time, it kind of goes like, yeah, you know what? I'm glad we have one of ours in there, and this is going to be an exciting season. I don't know about your thoughts, but I think everyone's seen that.
Yeah, I think in the last over the last 12 months, let's look at the Mexican national team. We've seen Chicharito go from probably the first or second name on the team sheet, a year ago before the Confederations Cup, to starting as a sub at the World Cup, which it's just a disaster for somebody who's already the second highest goal scorer ever for the national team. And I think in that time, I think a lot of people have forgotten that what he has achieved. I mean, he's only 26 still, but the fact he moved to Manchester United, he jumped from Chivas, Liga MX team, to one of the biggest teams in the world. If you look at the time he went as well, obviously Manchester United were a lot stronger than they have been over the last year. So for him to make that move and succeed, and the amount of goals he scored, I think people have forgotten that. You know what I mean? He scored, I think, 37 Premier League goals. He only started 50 games.
Yeah, he has a record, right? I think he's like the third or fourth minutes to goal ratio, Tom.
Yeah, the fourth, and I think people, when we're talking, Benfica, Southampton, again, no disrespect to those teams, but this is someone who's played a Champions League final, who's adapted to life in the Premier League, and that can play for a top club. I mean, we all know off the field as well, his personality is an educated young guy. He's very religious, very down to earth, and he can take the pressure. And I think that when that news came out to Real Madrid, it kind of made a lot of sense all of a sudden. It didn't even necessarily pass through your mind. And I think me included, I was thinking Valencia would be a great move to it for him. But then when Real Madrid comes up, it's like, all right, yeah, it clicks. You know what I mean? The only thing that I think, the only caveat to that is, it'll be interesting what you two think, but will he get the playing time that he needs? Because obviously, I think that there is a slight element of risk in that as well, in this move.
As you mentioned, Tom, I think I read it in one of your articles, but if you were to stay with Manchester United, they're not nearly involved as many tournaments as Real Madrid is. And right now, I mean, it's looking right now. Right now, he's a second option behind Benzema. Maybe they'll have another striker. I mean, I know they have Jesse Rodriguez, who could potentially sneak in there as well. But it looks like right now he might be the second option. And then right now, Real Madrid are involved with the Copa del Rey. They're involved with the Champions League. They're involved with the Club World Cup. They're going to be involved with much more tournaments than Manchester United. So I think it's kind of foolish when people say it's like, oh yeah, he's just gonna rot on the bench like he did for Manchester United, or he's just going from Manchester United bench to the Real Madrid bench. I think there's a huge difference. I think he's much more likely to get playing time with Real Madrid.
Yeah, but the other thing is, I mean, I'm a big fan of Chicharito. I mean, since before he went to United, I think he's a really good player. Don't get me wrong, he's not Ronaldo, but what he does in terms of movement in the box, in terms of putting the ball in the back of the net, and being intelligent in that way. I think there's few players of that kind of type that are better than him. Perhaps none,
Yeah. Just like go ahead, Tom. Sorry. Well, just like Cesar was saying, and sorry, Tom, I wanted to just say it's true. I mean, about Benzema and the playing time that he's going to get, but there really isn't a backup for Benzema. I mean,
yeah. Well, let me put
Alvaro
this out
Morata
there.
left.
But why can't Chicharito overtake Benzema? I mean, I think Benzema is a decent player, but I don't see no reason that I don't see any reason that Chicharito, given time and given a bit of run of form in games, can't get past Benzema. And I say that partly because of the players, but mainly down to the system of Real Madrid. And you've got so many creative players. I think they would suit a player like Chicharito, and obviously that's why they signed him, who can get on the end in the box and be a real poacher.
Yeah.
And I don't think Benzema is necessarily that poacher.
Yeah, and I
There's
mean,
something really exciting. Oh,
I agree
I'll say
with you on that point, but I mean, it would be kind of, and again, will he be able to surprise us again? I mean, if he takes a starting spot in Real Madrid in the best club, I mean, historically for what it's done in the Champions, and takes the best, that's where else can Chicharito go somehow getting that? I mean, and that's where the surprise issue and the factor that he can't surprise us. I think it'd be really, really hard, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, he could do it. Cesar, what were you about to say?
So there's something also really exciting, and I think this will be the only chance probably that Chicharito gets to play with players at this caliber. But if he does play in Benzema's position, he's going to be potentially playing in between Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale. And just think about that for a while. Just those, it could potentially be extremely, extremely exciting for him. He could potentially have plenty of goals. Who knows? I think it's too early to say right now. I think we're going to have to wait for a couple games to see how it works out. But it's just interesting to think. Just imagine him in between Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale. Those guys just slinging in balls. And it's exciting.
And James Rodriguez behind.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
It could be a joke.
And there's our guy right there waiting for, isn't it? I mean, his timing, and he has such impeccable timing that he reads plays with the probably best 3 players in the world right there to feed him that goal. I think if he gets playing time, he will. If he sees playing time, he will score. We've seen it in everywhere he's been, in every team that he has, obviously. So it's looking to see what playing time, and just like Cesar, you said, 3-4 tournaments, that they will be doing. There will be that playing time because it's not like there's 3 people ahead of him like there was in Manchester United.
Yeah, but I mean, we just mentioned the wingers there. Bale and Ronaldo. Obviously, they get the ball, and the defensive tactic is to kind of double up on them and make sure because they've got that ability to go past defenders. You know what I mean? The general tendency as a defending team is to kind of make sure that there's more than one player on that defending against Bale or Ronaldo. And then you look at Chicharito and how good he is at finding space. I mean, he's just got this innate ability to sniff out some space in the penalty box, and it's actually worth just putting in on YouTube, Chicharito goals, and just re-watching his goals for Manchester United, because, like I said, I think we do forget, the how many goals are scored and just how good he is as a natural predator. So, and I think with that Real Madrid system and with the wingers they've got, I think he will get space because, I mean, Bale and Ronaldo running at you, you do have to double up down the wings, and I think that Chicharito can definitely benefit from that.
It's your typical basketball player doubling up on somebody else and somebody's open. There's going to be 3 players that need to be doubled up. Chicharito's a master of definitely having that illusion that the defender, especially, I mean, just remember his games, who the defenders just look and Chicharito's on one side and all of a sudden he runs in front of him. Can you just imagine that? I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'll be obviously just the league with Chicharito now joining Real Madrid, Raul Jimenez, Giovanni, Aquino. It feels like finally we have no Mexicans in the EPL, and the physical game is gone. I just guess we couldn't hack it there, not to say the least. But now he will be joining obviously the Liga in a less game and not as physical game, and I think that favors Chicharito as much as he didn't, not that he failed. But looking at the club, obviously 4 players in the history of the Real Madrid, 4 Mexican players. I think 2 of them were way before our time, 30s and 40s if I remember. And obviously, Hugo Sanchez, the legend, what he did, I don't think he could be replicated ever by anyone. I mean, that I can think of right now for what he did to Penta Pichichi, and now Chicharito gaining in that, obviously starting and being presented, not officially, but also to the crowds. I like to ask, there's one of the question here with at the chat, obviously, from Josh, asked, how many goals do you think Chicharito will score this year? I'd like to ask you guys.
8,000.
3,000.
8,030. No, not 8,000.
And I mean, I think for me it just has to depend. But if we can put on a goal and maybe a prediction here, it's recorded. Tom and Cesar, take it away. What do you think?
Yeah, obviously it depends on playing time, but same as the first season at Manchester United, if you can do that, and I think that's what was it, 20 goals or something in all competitions, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Cesar?
I'm gonna guess
playing time.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess.
You're gonna reduce it from 8,000.
Okay.
Change the 8,000.
You're sticking with 8,000.
I'll be a little more conservative. I'll be happy. I think it'll be. I mean, like Tom was saying, it all depends on his playing time. But I'll be genuinely content if he can score at least 10 this season. I know that may not seem like very much, but I think if he could score 10, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I think I don't want to be hypocritical, but we've been very positive so far in the show. Yeah. And I think we have to point out, and this is what I believe anyway. I think it is a risk. I think he is rolling the dice. I think it's a gamble. Yeah. We all know he isn't the starter in the Mexican national team now. He
hasn't been for
He hasn't been. He's still got to get that spot back. I mean, and he's got work to do there. And he's going to a team where he isn't guaranteed to start. So we've been looking at the positive side, right? He gets in there, bangs 8,000 goals in. But he scores a few goals and he's challenging Benzema and that's everything's hunky dory. The other side of that is he starts. He's rusty. He loses some confidence. The manager doesn't trust in him, and we all know the pressure at Real Madrid. I mean, just look at the nature of the La Liga. They've already lost one game last weekend against Real Sociedad. You can't afford to lose many games. And if that does happen, then all of a sudden you can see how it could snowball kind of in a downward spiral, if you know what I mean. But I think that's worth pointing out. I don't know if you two, you agree with that or not.
Well, I mean, just kind of definitely it is a gamble, just like you said. I mean, it is the biggest club right now with the biggest superstars that you have on there. It's something that he hasn't seen. I mean, the pressure of that giant. I mean, he was at Manchester United when obviously Manchester United was his best 2-3 years ago. But looking at what he's going into, the pressure, I think Chicharito has that personality, though. I think he likes to take on. I mean, I think he's always had that personality that he'll take on anything and everything. It doesn't matter how it's done as long as you get the goals achieved. Do you see that by his goals, scoring with anything and everything, nose, hip, anything? I mean, the guy can score with his mouth, and we've seen it in his very first goal with Manchester United. But I think it goes to the level of the person who he is, that he's not afraid to take chances as a guy that's obviously very religious, very in tune with his family, with the coaching staff. I remember a note about Brazil that Chicharito was on a strict diet for Manchester United while in Brazil, and because he couldn't eat this, eat that, or whatever reason. This is a type of a guy that follows
no tortillas or something.
What?
Like no tortillas, like no tortillas.
Like no tortillas. And so that's just the level of player that he is on and off the field. So it's no surprise that obviously if that opportunity was there, he wasn't scared to take it because he wasn't getting any playing time. He's gonna just show you one more time. Yes, Tom, he hasn't been a starter for us. I mean, 2010, even the World Cup, and even now, 2014. So how do we make him a starter in Real Madrid? But confidence in him that he can definitely make it. Let's talk about obviously the types of the loan really quick. Tom, can you tell us a little more about the contract? The loan, is it 1 year?
Yeah, it's 1 year loan deal, isn't it, with an option to buy.
Do we know how much the loan was? It was like $2 million. I mean, $2 million.
Not sure.
Not sure. I think I heard. I'm not sure if this is entirely true, but I think that the option to buy it would be 22 million at the end of the year. But I'm not entirely sure if that's true or not.
Okay, that's just it. I think what we were worried about, obviously, before the transfer window opening, is the small clubs couldn't take a chance on him because he was worth so much. You saw it in there. The guy can sell shirts. I think at 11 a.m. today. There are no more Real Madrid Chicharito shirts that went on sale for $100. I mean, you look at the level of this type of player, not only in Mexico, in the U.S., and around the world, and we're going into that. So it's part of why they get players. So we'll kind of be seeing that, and obviously the impact that he has. I mean, I guarantee there'll be more Chicharito shirts than James. I put it out there. in this. And even though he might not be starting, he might not be having that much playing time, I'll guarantee you that everyone else is already looking at that Chicharito jersey and we're looking at it. And I don't think he was brought to sell shirts as a controversy that goes in.
No, I think that was a variable going. I mean, like, I think they knew there's like obviously he's going to be a great backup. Why not? But I think there was a slight, not saying it was the most significant influence, but I think there was a subtle little thing where the management on top kind of knew, just like, yeah, if we bring in Chicharito, we're probably going to sell a decent amount of jerseys. Everybody is going to be walking around with one of those awesome pink Chicharito jerseys, which I am now secretly thinking about buying and never going to wear because I tell everyone I'm a Barcelona fan, and then people look at me and
yes, it's a curse of liking one team, and then a Mexican leaves that team, and then the rival team gets another Mexican guy. So now you're just watching that team in order for that guy to score, but as soon as he's off the field, you don't really care, and you turn it off.
Yeah.
We've all watched it there. Looking at the chat next to the obviously, if you're watching right now and you're talking with us, we're looking at the question that Josh asked about how many goals do you think Chicharito will score? We're looking at it 9. From RSJRDK, Mexican Reformer says 13. Josh says 15. 10 goals, 9 in La Liga, 4 in Champions League. I'd go over maybe 11, 15. Everyone seems that obviously the positive of Chicharito obviously could be because we're fans, but we're looking at 15 goals. Mexico World Cup. Tom's going for 20, saying it obviously. And Raul Barresa looking at Sergio Ramos had 7 goals last year. I'm hoping Chicharito doubles that for 14. So. You're looking at, I think everyone's expecting a decent amount of goals. Nothing crazy in the 30s like the, Messi's and Ronaldo's of the world. But obviously, having an opportunity for it to play with so many tournaments and actually getting that time. Because something's happening around Madrid, obviously the last 2 games, not winning the Supercopa, obviously not losing now to Atleti and also at least get to Real Sociedad. So hopefully he goes in. There's sparks. Now going into the next game with Raul Jimenez, now we have 2 of ours in the top teams in Spanish. I mean, it's so exciting. Yeah. And you're looking at, will he start getting in playing time right away? Who knows? Yeah. One of the questions I would ask, and I'll ask for you guys, I think it also varies. Do you think he'll be getting along with the egos that are there in Real Madrid, as someone asked on the chat, as just a question?
Who doesn't like Chicharito?
It's true. The guy. I mean, I think the guy is known everywhere.
Yeah. No, I think he'll get on with everyone. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons as well. I mean, why Chicharito and not Falcao? I mean, obviously the money's different, and the type of striker's different. But another one of the things is Falcao's going to walk in there with a bit more of an ego, and he's going to want to play 100%, and he's going to demand he plays. And he's going to have that arrogance of, I want to be a starter. And look at Real Madrid. They already got a number of players who you can't drop them, Mm-hmm. I mean, it's as simple as that at that club. I mean, it's almost that Galactico thing, remember when that, back in, 2004 or whatever, where it kind of, there was a lot of Galacticos and they were doing very well, and then they kind of like scale tips and all of a sudden it went all wrong, didn't it? And I think there's a danger of that, but I think they've got, with Ancelotti, I think they've got the right manager in place who's got that experience. He's very calm. He's definitely a player's manager. Players tend to really like him, and I think that he should be able to balance that. But yeah, I don't see any problem with Chicharito. I think he's going to walk in there. We watched his press conference today. It was just a brilliant press conference, from a PR point of view. He said exactly the right things. He was smiling. He says, if someone asked him, who do you support in the Mexican in the Spanish league? He's like, what do you mean you support? Of course I support Real Madrid. It's like he was he was offended by the question.
It's funny because the guy you see him with that smiling, and that it was after that Chivas getting into Manchester, sounded that giddy smile, which he hadn't had in a while. I mean, that angry. Is this? I think I remember a meme of like, is this not enough? What else do I need to do to score to get more minutes? I remember from last season. But obviously, going back with what's happening with Real Madrid, I think there's some problems. And you said it, Tom. I remember with the Galacticos 2004, 2005, looking at the one of the greatest teams ever, and obviously declining. And I think it came from the mid trading. I think Makelele from the mid, starting that. And I see it already. I see it already with Di Maria leaving. Obviously, who just
Alonso.
left? Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, Xabi Alonso.
you know, you're just going in there. So, and that's what declined the last time the superstars had an amazing team, Real Madrid and obviously the Barcelona. So I obviously don't know what's happening, especially with Di Maria leaving. And I think there's also some problems there on you know, I mean, he didn't even have any like a goodbye, you know, celebration, nothing. It was like a letter, here you go, bye-bye. It depends on, you know, obviously Xavi leaving, and especially, you know, a player like Di Maria, who I think is an amazing. I think Cristiano Ronaldo's kind of going. I've seen him in some interviews saying what's happening in Real Madrid. So I think going in there, I think it's obviously totally different on not only culture but the game, but also the team and how the high status of a superstar team. And I think it's going to be exciting times. But I honestly believe, just like you say, Tom, I think he's well equipped for him to handle that, and we'll see what's going to happen in 1 year.
Yeah.
No, he is. Yeah.
Oh, so Chicharito is obviously one of the most likable players too, like in the world. So I don't think he's gonna have.
Yeah, in world football.
Yeah, like you could see, like even like I don't know, Chicharito's definitely a world-known player, but like I don't know if you guys saw any like the vines of him showing up for his like medical, and there's just like fans everywhere. Just it was kind of crazy. He's definitely an extremely likable guy. Actually, I was making a joke to my girlfriend the other day. I was saying that Chicharito should become a politician because I'm convinced he's a robot and he just knows like the exact like right answers to say for like every question.
And he has that Guadalajara Spanish that, you know, he's just really, really fast and he answers the question. And so it's fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. No. No. I think. I think the other thing we should highlight as well is just what this move means in terms of him as, you know, his kind of legacy and place in like kind of the Mexican game historically. You know what I mean? Because I think if he would have gone to a Valencia or to a team in Italy or Inter they were talking about, you know, or to a Benfica like they were, or a Southampton, or even a Tottenham, you know, I think his place, where you look at the all-time rankings, you know, Hugo Sanchez, Rafa Marquez, you know, I think that would have affected that kind of his place, you know, in history in a way. And I think moving to Real Madrid now, in his prime, I mean, he's just hit 26 years old. Yeah. He's got a chance now. I mean, I don't think he's going to have any chance of, you know, getting past Hugo Sanchez, but he's got that opportunity now. And I just think it again re-emphasizes that, all right, we might have forgotten over the last 12 months, you know, how, you know, what a player and what a big name this is, and just big person, and how good he is in general for the Mexican game. I mean, the way he speaks, I mean, you know, Mexico's a country that's got a lot of problems, definitely had a lot of problems, you know, with the narco stuff going on over the last few years. And I think, you know, he's kind of been the antithesis of that, Chicharito. He's come out there and he's just such a nice guy, and he's smiling, and he's from Guadalajara, like you said, and he's a good-looking lad, and he speaks really well. And I think that it re-emphasises that he is a big player, he's an important player, and not just as a player. I mean, off the field as a Mexican abroad, you know, I think he's very important for Mexicans. You know, obviously not just in Mexico, but all over the world.
Very, very true. A very good-looking lad. Not as good-looking as Gabriel Piccolo, according to Johnny Rico. Johnny Rico. We'll go. Let's talk about La Liga. All of a sudden, obviously, kind of the transfers. Tom and Cesar, just kind of recap. Obviously, transfer window closing and looking at the big moves. Obviously, Mexicans abroad. Obviously, Chicharito, Raúl Jiménez. But tell us about an overall. I think I remember right after the World Cup, we said, you know, who's going to leave? Who are the players that are going to leave? Are you satisfied with the moves, the transfers of all Mexicans choosing La Liga? Cesar, start with you.
I mean, it wasn't the players that actually, there were a few players that I thought would go overseas that ended up, you know, falling in form that ended up not going. And I think there are certain players like Miguel Layún, there's Carlos Peña, and a couple others who I didn't expect to go. But now, looking back at this summer, I'm pretty happy, actually. And I never anticipated Raúl Jiménez going to Atletico Madrid, and I never anticipated Chicharito going to Real Madrid. And I think those are two very, very significant moves, and I think that symbolizes a lot about where the current game, you know, for Mexican soccer is right now. And a quick thing I wanted to bring up about Chicharito and Raúl Jiménez. It's going to be interesting because, you know, they're after the FIFA break, which is coming up this week. Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid are playing against each other, and that's going to be a rivalry within a rivalry, because Jiménez used to play for America, And then obviously Chicharito used to play for Chivas. And I think that'll be kind of great to see that those two players going up against each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and not just that they're from those teams though, that they are the players, the benchmark players for each institution. You know, when it comes to producing young players, they are the benchmark.
Yeah.
Ever since Chicharito went over there, Jorge Vergara's been Fierro, Michel Vasquez, like searching for this new, Chicharito guy to sell, Cubo Torres. I mean, and yeah, no, it's a good point. I'd say it's fairly decent. I think the Chicharito and Raul Jimenez, like Cesar said, is on paper very, very good. Obviously, they need minutes. I mean, that's going to be the big thing over the next year. I think Guardado going to PSV, guaranteed minutes. That's it's a solid move for him. Aquino at Rayo Vallecano, that's another move where he's going to get regular minutes. Giovanni Dos Santos there, definitely a big player for Villarreal. A very good team in Spain. What else? Jonathan Dos Santos. Hopefully he can get it together this year.
Jonathan Dos Santos, right now.
Hector Herrera and Reyes doing well, now playing, obviously playing at Porto. So I think it's an interesting time for the Mexicans abroad.
Well, yeah, an interesting thing to note is that. Go on, Cesar. Okay.
Yeah, I am very much disappointed with the fact, Marco Fabian, Layun, Carlos Peña, perhaps, Isaac Brizuela. I am disappointed that those kind of players haven't gone, because I think what I'd like to see the Mexican League become is like, the players get established, they have a good few years here, and Mexico becomes known as a country that can produce top talent, and then they go to Europe at that kind of age, 23, 24, when they're absolutely ready to fit into decent teams. And I think it was disappointing that those players didn't go. I'm not gonna lie. I know. I went to Chivas the other day, and it was Chivas Cruz Azul. And, Fabian, he didn't have his best game, but it's the balance he's got and the speed, and he's just a top quality player. And I think he needs to go to Europe now to start developing himself and see if he's got those extra gears to move up to become like a top player. And I think that's in the future how the national team is gonna develop when Mexico have got 20 top players in Europe. I think that's when we can talk about semi-finals. That's only my opinion, though. I get called out a lot on Twitter for it.
I was just going to bring up just a quick point, because we were talking about the Europeos a little bit. Just saying how well, I mean, especially Guardado and Rafa have done, for their first games. Guardado had just shown up. It was just I think he'd only been in Holland for a couple days. He ended up helping score, the first goal. He created essentially almost in a way he helped create the first goal through an assist. But he was, according to some Dutch press, he was seen as one of the best 11 players in the Eredivisie over the weekend. And also Rafa, I was looking at some Italian newspapers, the Gazzetta, and they were saying that Rafa was the best player in Verona over the weekend. I think once again says we've been that a lot of those Europeans have been doing pretty well recently. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
I was watching the game and the highlights on obviously Guardado. There's a long pass. I think it came out. I mean, it's 70 yards across that filters through it for that great kind of a second assist that he has. But the teammate went back. I mean, he was part of that play. He made that play happen from the beginning, from the back. Just getting a lot of touches, and honestly, the vision that Guardado has. Totally great player. I think it's gonna be an exciting time at PSV, and also obviously what you said with Rafa Marquez. I'll ask you guys one of the questions that's coming from the chat already. Who will get more goals obviously in Europe between Gio, Vela, Chicharito, or Raul? What do you guys think, and why? Throw it out to you, Cesar.
All right. I'm gonna say So I would say Vela.
Give it in order.
Oh,
in order?
In order.
In order.
Yeah, write this down.
All right, so we have
only in La Liga as well.
Only in La Liga, guys. If you're on the chat right now, put your pencils into the paper in order, descending order. Go ahead and write down who will get first, second, third, or fourth on goals wise. If you're watching right now, but go ahead, Cesar. You have yours.
Okay. So we said so who were the four that we just said right now? So we said Gio,
Vela, Chicharito, and Raul.
Okay, so really quickly, I would say Vela would be my number one, but I would say, but he was
Don't give
injured
me
over
this
this.
wood. Just
But
say it.
no. I'm analyzing this. So, but but he was injured over the summer, and I think obviously, like I think people might be like a little excited because he came right into the Real Madrid game and he scored that goal. Which actually, if you look at it, I think it might have been a handball. If you want to be honest, but but I think the injury.
Is that because he stuck his arm out like that?
Exactly. It looked like it to me, but I'm gonna say Vela's gonna be number 2, and I think Giovanni dos Santos is gonna be number 1. I think he's been getting very comfortable with Villarreal, and I think this will be. I mean, Giovanni has always had a huge amount of potential, and I think this is probably the first time in quite some time, actually, that he's had time to adapt to a team and not just have like one season and then go to like another team on loan. So I think I think Giovanni is going to stand out this year. I think he's going to score the most goals. I think after that it's going to be Vela. Vela's still a fantastic player. I think his injury from the summer might affect him. He might transition a little slow. I don't think he's going to get very many goals at the very beginning of the season. I know he just scored 1, but I think he's still going to transition a little slowly. And then after that, I'm gonna say Chicharito and then Jimenez.
Man.
Those are mine. Yeah.
Tom, that's pretty much. Go for it.
Vela, Giovanni, Chicharito, and then Jimenez.
Nice. Going for Vela first, yeah. Especially he's been at the league. I'm gonna go ahead and who's already have more goals than everybody else is Aquino's already scored once, guys. You guys are forgetting for the goal.
Oh, he has 2 assists.
He's got 2. That's right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys are thinking about because my boy Aquino's already beating all those forwards. No. I'm gonna go with Cesar on this. Gio, I think will have a better. I think we'll score more goals, but I think Vela and Gio are just kind of go back and forth. I think Chicharito and Raul establishing obviously their titularidad. It's obviously going to get him more, and they could interslap. I mean, I could see Raul scoring some goals coming in, and so I think I'm going to go obviously with Chicharito just because of the way that he does it and having obviously that team around him that is going to feed him those perfect balls. They're going to be able to see him those perfect runs, and then obviously Raul. So Gio, I think it's just like Cesar, Gio and Vela, Chicharito and Raul. We'll see how it is.
The only reason I said Vela is Griezmann's left Real Sociedad, and I think just Vela is now the goal scoring focus of that team, and it might get more chances down the middle as well. So I just think for those reasons he's gonna. He'll get a couple more than Giovanni.
I think that could be detrimental to him though, because I think Vela and Griezmann work really well together, and I think a lot of those goals, not most of them, but I think a few of those goals that Vela scored were through working with Griezmann a little bit. So I think that'll hurt him a little bit.
Yeah.
Looking at obviously everybody else's reactions, I think they favor with Thomas. A lot of them going for Vela, Gio, Chicharito, Jimenez, Vela, Chicharito, the rest, Vela, Chicharito, Raul, and then Gio, Herrera, and then Guardado from RSJRDK. And then obviously Edgar saying that he feels you, Tom. I don't know what that means, but he feels your pain or
not literally.
Well, obviously we're seeing that this is an exciting week, not only because obviously the Europeos, obviously the Liga, but we also have a national team that's going to be playing, the national team that's going to be playing 2 games coming up. And we'll be talking a little bit more on later on this week, a pre-game on what are we going to see, and obviously the first step to Russia 2018. But guys, anything else on any players you guys want to talk about after, so we can kind of just close off about on all of the transfers? Pulido, for example. Thank you, Cesar, for telling me that Pulido is going to be in my Bayern Munich. We got a little excited, almost crashing. But Tom, what can you tell us about Pulido?
Pulido, he's got a new haircut.
He's still Mr. Rockstar. He walks around like in the airports. It doesn't faze him that he's got no club, but he just walks around starting whatever, and he comes in. A new haircut. What else, Tom? Can you tell us?
He's not playing football at the minute because he's got a problem with the contract with Tigres, and it's not been sorted yet, and I think they've got another kind of meeting on September the 9th. Sorry, so they've got this, but from what I've been reading in the press, that it could keep going on and on from there, which is the difficult thing. The good thing is that if he wins that case, and the Mexican Federation accept that he's a free player, a free agent, then he can sign for a European club. He's not restricted by the transfer window. But obviously that depends on him winning it. If he doesn't win, his only option would be go back to Tigres, which I don't think is going to happen either, which is difficult. So, yeah, I mean, Olympiacos out in the press today saying they're still interested, they're still after him. Pulido's been tweeting in Italian, so I don't know if that means anything or he's just being a joker. I don't really know. Yeah, so yeah, not too much going on with him at the minute. It's just a case of waiting and see, and he's got to hope that that he wins that case. There was actually one other interesting thing. Hugo Sanchez was talking today.
Yeah.
And I quite like what he said. He was saying that with the Pulido case, he said that the players out there should go and support him, whether he's going to win this or not. And it's an issue in the Mexican game that the players' commission or whatever doesn't have much power at all. And you get these kids like Pulido who should have a big future in the national team, and you don't get many players backing him up. You get players coming out saying, we'll see how it goes with him, and like he must have some reason. If he's doing this, he must have some reason. But they never get to the point, you know what I mean? And I've been a bit disappointed with a player like Rafa Marquez. I think he should be coming out, not just with this Pulido situation, but in general, and really trying to get the players together, because he does have that power. Him and Cuauhtemoc Blanco.
Definitely. I think obviously Hugo has a big mouth everywhere. It doesn't matter, and he'll say it exactly. It doesn't matter. I mean, he doesn't care about being in that environment of I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I mean, he'll say it. We've seen it in many things after coming in. I'll be the coach, still going in. I mean, I think right now I heard an interview about if he would like to go to Chivas. He's like, heck no, with those words, saying I will never go and coach for an institution like that's run by Vergara. I mean, he's just going off. Maybe one day when he's out, maybe you bring someone in with that has no football knowledge instead of business. I think even mentioned his company or something. I mean, he was going off, and he's like no, and he's telling them that everyone should obviously support Pulido. But not only that, what I liked about Chicharito saying that he's going to do well there, and that the type of the professional he is. So even Hugo going in there sometimes could be good, sometimes could be bad. Obviously, he's looking for a team also to be coaching, but always
I like him. I mean, I honestly think from being here, he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I mean, I know he says a lot of stupid stuff some of the time, but I do also agree with him quite a lot of the time, and I feel that just what he's achieved at Real Madrid, it was unbelievable. You know what I mean? And I think that when he's got so criticised from people like Vergara and stuff like that, and it's like when it comes to football, who are you going to listen to? You know what I mean? Like a guy who's done all that he's done at Real Madrid, or Vergara who's brought this Chivas team to its knees, really.
I guess sometimes it is a little hard to argue against a guy who's right now they consider to be on the best 11 of all time. So. And one of Real Madrid's greatest players of all time as well. So,
yeah.
There it is. All right. Well, we asked any questions from the chat. You could ask us anything at all. And Cesar has said any questions. It doesn't even have to be football related. You could just ask anything.
Actually, I misspelled it. I put Fuptol.
I misspelled Mexican soccer shoe a little bit a while ago on the live show. Josh.
Mexican soccer shoe right here.
Josh actually asked predictions for Jonathan Dos Santos this season. Footmex source staff already wrote in the answer. 154 selfies on Instagram. But obviously football related. What are we looking for Jonathan Dos Santos? Obviously, I remember a day. I mean, after 2005, when Gio was coming up and obviously winning the World Cup for the Sub-17, saying that Jonathan Dos Santos was a better player than Gio. If we're looking at the two brothers, he was a better player. Obviously, going in there, Barcelona, then getting that from Guardiola, then coming in. So I'll ask you guys predictions. Will he make to the first team?
No, I think if he's going to sneak it every now and then. I think the only thing that had João dos Santos like still somewhat relevant was the fact that he was playing for Barcelona. And I think sometimes we forget that I think he played maybe like it was like a handful of games every season, maybe like a handful at the very most. It would probably only be 2 or 3, and I don't think he even started. It was usually just as a sub. So I think he hasn't had much experience on the field, to be honest. He doesn't play at all, and I think, obviously if he hasn't been able to come into the Villarreal roster at all, and not even like he's not even an option on the bench right now. He I think the past couple games he's been just left back at Villarreal, so I think it's been very difficult for him. But I'm thinking maybe I don't know. I think if he's able to start maybe a couple games this season, I think that'll be good. But I don't have very high hopes for Jonathan Dos Santos right now.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that is I think we've got to be a bit patient because he's coming back from this, really big ACL injury. So
that's true as well. Yeah.
I want to kind of reserve my judgment a little bit on Jonathan Dos Santos until he's been there a couple of months. But
very good observation. Yeah.
But I mean we talk about Mexicans in Europe and we talk about the importance of them going. But equally important is when they go to Europe that they are playing. You know what I mean? Because obviously I think Herrera's right when he says when he stresses that. You know what I mean? I'd much rather have somebody playing in the Liga MX in the national team now than Jonathan Dos Santos, who I honestly. It's difficult to have a real opinion on him and how good he is because, to be honest, I've never seen him play that much.
Exactly, a couple of minutes here and there.
Games.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Exactly.
So,
all right, well, me too. I share that. I've always seen what Jonathan Dos Santos could do in the very 4 or 5 minutes, I think, when he came in a friendly, and what we wanted to do, obviously, with what happened in Ecuador with the Copa Sudamericana, with Quito Gate, with all of the, should we say, night ladies doing that, whatever. And then
night
obviously,
ladies.
Night ladies. Night ladies. It's my word. It's my new word. All right, night ladies. We like to call them. I didn't want to call them prostitutes because we didn't know if they were or not, and I didn't want to call it ladies of the night because it sounded too foreign. So we're gonna call them night ladies. Not a lot of my train of thought on where I was going with this. We always have fun here about the Mexican soccer, especially when it's live and it's not edited. We can just kind of discuss about anything. Well, let's go back and refresh. So yeah, Jonathan Dos Santos. Haven't seen anything forward from a long time. I think that crossbar. I think somebody could obviously come back to me on Twitter what game it was that he had a shot and it looked good that he was going in and it hit the crossbar. And ever since then, everybody was already spazzing about how great this guy is. He has done nothing, completely nothing. He's always had, I think, also problems off the field. If I remember, in a U23, I think, or somewhere like that, they left him at the airport. Somebody pulled down his pants or something like that. There was always something with Jonathan Dos Santos off the field. I'm not. This isn't a joke. He really did. Somebody pulled down his pants. Somebody. I remember.
Was it a night lady?
No, this is before his night ladies days. Okay. All right. Let's talk about let me see if there's any other questions. Obviously, why did Ulises Davila go back to Cordoba? I know, Cesar, you're good on with the others. That's a question coming from Jose Hernandez.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I'll give credit to Naib. Naib was one who posted an article about this recently. But he said that it looks like Cordoba, they only had 3 spots for foreigners right now. And I think he doesn't have his passport at this moment. I think maybe he might just have a visa. I'm not entirely sure on the details of the situation, but that it was not worth him going to the squad. And I'm sure it's something with Chelsea had to deal with the situation too. And it's just I guess I know he's at Tenerife, who I think finished in 11th place in the Spanish second division last year. And I kind of feel bad for him a little bit, though, to think that this guy, he scored the game-winning goal for Cordoba to help them promote him to La Liga, and then Chelsea are just well, now you're going straight back to the second division again. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Naive, obviously, for giving us that, and Cesar updating us also. Any other questions that we see out there? Diego Reyes, a starter now in Porto. We saw him come in as a sub. A very important game. Obviously, having a great game, but do we see him at least getting more minutes? And obviously getting some more minutes in Porto. Tom, anything about obviously Diego Reyes coming in? We know that Hector Herrera is crucial to the team, but is Diego Reyes getting those more minutes?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how it obviously pans out. One thing I would say is that Porto are a club that will be patient with him. I think it was obvious as soon as he, as soon as he got there, that physically he had to beef up for the European leagues. I think that that there was talk of him going on loan. Marseille was mentioned. Marcelo Bielsa's Marseille. That would have been a good move. But I think he's got to be patient. He hasn't got to kind of, get too stressed out about it. He's got to keep working and keep improving. I think he's still going to be a top player. We forget that he's still only 21 years old.
Yes.
And
wow.
hopefully at some time this season. And I don't think we should get too, like I said, stressed if he's not getting minutes right now. I think when it comes, hopefully at some point in this season, a bit like Hector Herrera last season, if he can win that starting spot and get 15 starts under his belt in the second half of the season, I think we can consider it mission accomplished. And then a year from now, be the absolute firm starter. Another year at Porto and maybe move on. I think that's the Porto model, and I think I think you got to trust in a club like Porto. They made a lot of money by taking players like Reyes and making them into real top players and then selling them on.
I think look at even James was in Porto.
James, Falcao, Jackson Martinez, although he's not quite gone yet.
Yeah. I like what you said.
James, by the way, just a quick one. James, for his first 9 months at Porto, wasn't a starter. I mean, let's just put that in context. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at obviously a great representation from La Liga, and it's gonna be great every weekend. I think we'll see a goal. I think we have the opportunity to see a lot of goals for Mexicans this season, more than ever. I can't remember that many times, obviously, I think historically, but I think it's gonna be fun. Let's talk about the national team. Let's talk about the game that's coming up, obviously, against Federation of Chile. Just really quick, we're actually going to have another show later on this week. Find a way to get together again. I know that I'll be there. Tom and so it says that all three of us will be at the Field of Jeans in Levi Stadium. The Field of Jeans, Levi Stadium. I think they're already there. The Mexican national teams are already there at their hotel. Cesar's going to try to do some recon work, figure out where they're at, maybe post it on, so everyone should just flock to the hotel.
Yeah, they're gonna be practicing tomorrow at the Santa Clara Stadium, which is where the San Jose Earthquakes play.
Your favorite team.
Yeah. But I'll try to take some pictures. I know I know this sounds kind of ridiculous, but I've got a doctor appointment at like an hour after the practice, so we'll see how much time I can make for that. But
Max, you're gonna reschedule that doctor's appointment for practice.
I gotta visit my doctor.
Always visit your doctor. Never skip it for whatever reason. We encourage you. Tom, I know you'll also be there. Tom, when are you arriving? I think you're coming a couple days before, or?
Yeah, I'm Thursday morning. I'll be there. Friday practice. I think Miguel Herrera is going to give a press conference, so there for that. And then looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing the stadium. Not entirely thrilled by the squad, but I'm sure we'll talk about that next time. And I think the first game especially. Actually, the first game against Chile is going to be their top opposition, and obviously they've got the majority of the squad that did so well at the World Cup. And then the Bolivia game a few days later. I think the key there. I think Herrera is going to basically play two teams. For the first game, I think he's going to be a starting team, with quite a few of the starters from the World Cup. And then I think against Bolivia in Denver, it's going to be more, Cubo Torres, Chuletita Orozco, and all them guys.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think it's the same exact thing. Yeah, it looks like he brought like two players from every position as well. So I think like you said, like he mentioned in the past too. He says he's going to be looking to incorporate some young players Which actually, I guess there isn't anybody who's really that young. I mean, I guess most people are in the mid-20s. But I think, yeah, in the second game, we'll see some of the new guys that he's called up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Obviously, we'll be seeing two different teams. I think he already tweeted a picture on all this, the regular starters and their subs. So if you, I'm sure you've seen that picture already with who's there and what he's going to have. But I'll also be there, getting there Wednesday. So giving you guys some. Trying to do something live where we can see if we can get a practice going, maybe sneak in an iPad somewhere so you guys, the Mexican Soccer Show, could see what's going on if you're unable to go to Santa Clara, Cesar's home backyard, where he's there. And so we'll have fun. We'll try to do another live show before the game, and then obviously get you all the information with our accounts, obviously with the Mexican Soccer Show account, FoodMex Source, Tom, Cesar's, and my WeSo account on what's going on. Definitely keep on following us and ask us questions, guys. Well, this has been awesome. It's been great news for Chicharito. A great show, obviously. Thank you so much, Cesar. You won't be traveling far, obviously, because you're right there. Tom, we'll see you. I'm sure you'll be nice flights, and for me, it's a couple of hours just on a plane for us to get there. So we'll have fun, and obviously get you guys the information as we see it, and with no filters, like night ladies. We'll keep it at that. Any filter. We'll let you know what's going on.
We'll be your night ladies.
We'll be your night ladies.
Wow. I don't think I'm going to come now.
Forget it. ESPN's saying, no, you can't go anymore, Tom. All right, guys. Well, this has been another great live show, Mexican Soccer Show, another edition. Chicharito going to Real Madrid. Obviously, big news. We have a lot that's coming up from Liga MX, obviously going into the Mexican games that are coming up, both of them, the Bolivia and Chile games in Denver and in San Jose area. So you'll be hearing from us. Keep sharing it. Keep asking us questions. Tweet us. Give us some of your comments. We love interacting with you guys. That's why we're doing it live and we're seeing out there. I'd like to thank all of you who have asked us questions. I know there are many more, and we'll keep on talking about it. All of you watching live, and also all of you that are watching on a tape delay. Keep it coming and keep the conversation going. Follow us, obviously, on Twitter, MexSoccerShow.com, and all of us. Guys, this has been another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm signing off. Tom, thank you. Cesar, thank you. And we'll be seeing each other, especially this week, without a computer. All right.
See you later.
See you guys later.